It's Wednesday, March 18th, 2020, and welcome back to the second broadcast coming to you from the office of Pastor Ken Politz here in New Creation Lutheran Church, Ottawa, Ohio. If this is your first time tuning in, I'd like to welcome you to what we're calling PK's PSA. The PSA stands for Pastoral Service Announcements. You know, given these tumultuous times as we collectively try to deal with and navigate our way through the COVID-19 or coronavirus public health threat, it's our wish in these brief messages to bring you something helpful and hopeful. These are, to be sure, sobering and troubling days, setting our lives off balance to such a degree that we may at times feel as if our lives are teetering on the brink. There's a great deal of apparent doom and gloom casting a massive shadow over just about everything. Our relationships, our future, our finances, our jobs, and how to even go about living our everyday lives. These PSAs are coming to you in actually two parts. The first few moments will try and keep you up on firm footing regarding the virus. After that, the second part will be what we're calling, and now, a word from our scriptures, a simple devotional moment of reflection to perhaps encourage your day. And what's more, given all the bad news that we seem to be inundated with, we'll try to maybe bring a bit of a smile to your face, even if it's only for a moment or two. So, enough talking about that. Now here's your second pastoral service announcement. Again, it comes in the form of a word. And these days, another really important one. It's the word asymptomatic. We could call this one of those $5 words, especially as it has 5 syllables and it's not easy to pronounce. On the other hand, right now, everybody probably wants to be described that way. Essentially, it means showing no evidence of a disease. Well, that's the good news. The not so good news is that just because a person is asymptomatic doesn't mean they aren't infected with any disease. And we all know what disease we're talking about. So let's all work to be on the good side with the disease. Let's make sure that those around us are asymptomatic with no evidence of the disease because we and others don't have it. And there you have it, asymptomatic. And now, for another word from our scriptures. I remember a story about Jesus when he had this encounter with a young whippersnapper who asked the good teacher, "What must I do to inherit eternal life?" Well, Jesus in turn listed a few of those 10 commandments for his thoughtful consideration. You know, don't murder, don't commit adultery, don't steal, honor your father and your mother, stuff like that. Well, our rather cocky fellow didn't even blink an eye, it seemed. In his highfalutin comeback to Jesus, he said, "Well, teacher, I've kept all of these from my youth." Really? Is that a fact? It sounded almost as though he thought he was asymptomatic of any disease, especially that of what you know as sin. Self-diagnosed, he seemed in perfect spiritual health. Nothing needed to change. Like he was above all that. Had no problems, nothing to worry about. Roll out the red carpet and the welcome wagon, old buddy. Well, you can check the story out for yourself if you want, and one place you can find it is in the Gospel of Mark, chapter 10. Sometimes they call Jesus, the great physician, for good reason. He had an uncanny ability to diagnose afflictions, and when it came to sin, we might say, Jesus noted the man wasn't on the good side of asymptomatic. He had the disease, all right, just didn't know it. But Jesus had the cure. He put it this way to the man, "You lack one thing. Go, sell what you own, give the money to the poor, then you'll have treasure in heaven, then come and follow me." Well, as you might expect, sadly, that didn't sit too well with the man. Actually, a couple of other afflictions turned up too, shock and grief, in part because, he had many possessions, and so he went away. Amazing thing is, even with everything that was wrong, and if you don't believe me, see for yourself in Mark 10, verse 20, Jesus still loved him. He so wants a relationship with each one of us, whether asymptomatic or not. Well, there you have it. Until next time, remember, fear not tomorrow. God's already there. God bless, and thanks for listening.